back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys a whole lot for subscribing to my YouTube channel. So if you are new to my channel, if you have not subscribed, please, I will appreciate if you hit on the subscribe button and then hit on the bell also to get an update whenever I upload a new video. That's just like the essence of the bell. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to actually sew a zip like this on a tulle fabric or a net. Two ways of doing this. You actually have, I don't know if there are other ways, but I know two ways of actually sewing a zip on a tulle fabric. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It is very simple and easy, and then the dress is not going to have a bulge. So if you want to register for my online class, you could see my number scrolling through the screen, so just send me a message on WhatsApp. So this is the back bodice, so that's what we are going to be doing now. So let's just get started. So this is the front of my dress, and then this is the back piece. So we're going to be working with the back, so let's keep the front piece on our side. So we'll work with the back piece. So this is my zipper side. So here is my zipper allowance. So I'm not using, when making dress like this, I'm not going to use the zipper allowance. Is not going to be big. I'm going to use just 1 inch for my zipper allowance. So I'm not going to use the regular 2 inches or 2. So you see it with 1 inch, you see it will cover, the zipper will cover into it nicely. So the next thing I'm going to do, this is optional though, I'm just going to stitch. I'm using a hand stitch. I don't want to use my machine because I don't want it to be difficult for me when I'm opening it. So that's why I'm just using a hand stitch to just stitch both of them together. So you make sure you don't pull while you are stitching. Don't pull anything. So let's just go over to the machine. So I'll just stitch it up to this point and then we'll go and start sewing on the machine. Okay, so welcome to our sewing table. So I just want you to see what I'm doing. So this is the thread that I used in securing it. So this zipper, you are actually sewing it on the right side of your fabric. So instead of, normally normal zipper, you turn it like this and then you stitch, but this, no, you will stitch it on the right side. So the essence of, because I'm teaching, so that is why I decided to secure it on the zipper allowance part. If I was not teaching, I could even separate them and then sew them one. But I'm just trying to do it in a way that it will be easy for beginners to know how to sew this kind of zipper. So that is why I'm stitching it. And then when your tool, make sure you place it, the part that is not too stretchy. You see, this part is not too stretchy. Let it be on the straight side. This side is more stretchier. So those are the things that you should put in consideration also. So I'm going to take this now. So this zipper, this top part now, I'm just going to bring it out from the neckline part. So this is my zipper allowance. So I'm going to take this like this. So it's going to start from here. So this second zipper allowance, this is the right side of my tool. So I'm not stitching them. So I'm just using my hand like this. So I hope you can see it. So I'm using my hand like this to separate it. So I want to stitch here. This is actually the tip. Normal zipper, you are going to stitch it here on this line, but this open end, we are going to stitch it here on the side like this. So I just need this as like a base. So let it stay like this on this part. So that is the essence of me stitching, of me closing them together, so I will know the exact part to stitch. So because I'm using 1 inch allowance, so my zipper is just going to close in. So I'm just picking one part, I'm leaving the other part. So I'm just trying to explain much because I want you to understand what I'm doing. So I'm just going to stitch like this. So you see the zipper. So this side, you know, this side now I'm going to stitch. I'm stitching here on this line like this. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to do. You can separate them if you want to, but I just want the zipper to cover the allowance part. So you see it from this part now, it's covering my 1 inch allowance. So I'm going to be stitching on the exact point like this, straight. And note as I stitch, I'm not going to pull. So I'll take it so tiny on the edge, so tiny. I'll just go gently. So you see how I am going gently. I'm not pulling, I'm not pushing. And then my tool, so you see, I just want you to understand it. So that is why I'm explaining it's this much. So this is the right side of our fabric, of our dress. So you just keep going. I'm not pushing it, I'm not pulling it, and you see my net, that is my tool, is just straightened out. My zipper is straightened flat also. So make sure you don't stitch the second allowance inside, so you have to keep checking as you stitch downwards. So you see the edge, so I'm just, let me bring it so close so you can see. I want to see how close, how tiny. So I'm just using the tiny, very tiny edge of. And another thing that I forgot to say before I started, when I'm stitching this kind of when you want to stitch on tool, make sure your needle is new. Just change the needle. Use a new needle, that the mouth is not blunt, that the mouth is still very sharp, so it does not start pulling your tool as you stitch along. So I'm going to open it now, and then we'll do the second part. Okay, so we're finished stitching the first one, so you see how it is looking. So the next thing we're going to stitch now, we're going to stitch the second one. So I'll show you the back. So you see how the back looks like. So this is our zipper allowance. So that's serving, is just serving as a guide. So you make sure you open it neatly, let it be straight, because you know we're going to be stitching on this other edge now, on this other side. So you make sure that you are not stitching on top. So I'll just open it up, and then I would place it like this. And then I'm going to start stitching from the other edge. So that is why I asked you to secure it down. So because the zipper allowance part is held inside, so you just make sure that your zip is staying out straight like this. So I'm just trying to get that thread out. So I don't want to pull, I don't want to push, so I don't have a bulge on my tool. So I'm going to start stitching now. So make sure that the neckline aligns properly. So I'm stitching on this side. So you could see this side, you could barely notice anything like a stitch. So we'll do the other one. So when doing this, make sure you use a very matching thread. So my leg is just barely on my machine footer. I'm just tapping, giving it a very gentle tap. So you don't want to rush, you don't want to use speed. Just reduce, you can reduce the speed of your machine. Okay, so I think we are done. So I'm going to open it up now. The first thing we're going to do, I'm going to take out the thread. That's the thread that I use in securing it. So I'm just going to put it out like that. Okay, so I'll pull it out, and then I'll show you how we're going to trim the inside of this. So let me reset my camera. Come back to our table. So now I'm going to show you how to finish up this neckline properly now. So I'm going to turn it. So you see this is the back. So you see how it is looking. So now what you are going to do, you are going to trim out this excess of this zipper allowance from the net. So, and when you are trimming, you have to be very careful when working with mesh fabric. So I'm going to trim it neatly, all of the allowance. You can decide to leave it that way, but I think I choose to trim it. Okay, so I'm just going to hold it like this on this edge. So I'm just trying to get the best angle that I will be able to trim it properly, so I don't cut my fabric. So I'll trim the second one before I straighten them out properly. So just make sure you trim as close as possible. But if you don't, like I said, if you don't want to trim it, you can still leave it. So you see the way the inside is looking now. So I've trimmed out. So just make sure you blend it properly. Trim out all of the edges properly so it's looking neat from the inside. You know, obviously this dress does not have a lining. Okay, so you see I finished. So you see the way the outside is looking. The next thing, I'm just going to take it and give it a good, it's with a very light iron, and I'll press it. And then for the neckline, for this part, here's what I'm going to do. At the end of the day, I'm just going to open up this part like this, and then I'll take this, I'll just put it in like this. I'll take it in, and then I would secure it here. I'll just use my machine and secure it here because it is a matching thread. It's not going to be obvious. I'll secure it, and then I'll do the same thing on this side also. I'll take it like this, and then I'll secure it. So I'll just do that, iron it, and show you the final look of this dress. Okay, so at the end of the day, so you could see how our zipper is. So you see it's looking flat and neat. So if it is a half cut body, so all you are just going to do is fix this one on the down part. But this one is not a half cut body, it's just a regular body. So you see you could barely, let me just, so you see you could barely see the stitch, you could barely notice. So you see how tiny, so it was really stitched so tiny, so you could see it. And then the back, so this is how the back looks like. So you see this part that I was talking about, you just bring it down and then you stop stitches, you will even barely notice it. So you see how beautiful it is looking. So I'll open it up like this, and then I'll take on my zipper allowance part. So make sure that this part is coming up, because at the end it's going to go inside. So I'm going to start stitching like this. So just make sure that your zip, this footer is is sitting on top of this part, and then the edge has a space. So I'm just going to go gently like this. So once I get to this part, I'm going to close it up back so that I'll be able to stitch it normally. So just make sure you set it properly. So you see I'm not pushing it, I'm not pulling it. So once it comes out, you take it back in and then make sure you place it properly. I'm just going to keep just taking my hand gently. So you note I'm not pushing it, I'm not pulling it. So I'll just keep doing that until I get to the down, and then I'll do the second one also. After stitching one part, you have something like this. So this part, we are going to trim off the whole allowance. That's this allowance that is inside. We are going to trim it off. So I just want to fix the second one before we do that, because you are not going to leave it like this, because if not, it's going to be showing on the inside. So we are going to trim it off. This part is going to just, this side is going to be as slim as possible. So I'm going to take the second one right now. I'm going to turn it like this. This is the other part of my tool. I'm going to turn it, making sure that it is starting, the neckline is starting from the same point, and then I'm going to start stitching on my zipper allowance part. So most times what I normally do when I'm doing this, I normally actually start stitching the second part of my zipper. I always like stitching, I'll just turn it and then I'll start stitching from the down, making sure that they are sitting on the same spot or the same point. So I'm just trying to, so just make sure that the lines, that's the fabric, the two sides, they are the same. And then I'm going to start stitching now from the down part. So I'm not going to push it, I'm not going to pull it. So just place them, don't push, don't pull, and then stitch as close as possible. To this edge like this. So you can see the line of my zip. So it came out, so you push it in again. Once it comes out, just make sure that your footer is sitting on top of this part, and then you have the space is in between the line. So that's just like the secret. So with that, you can just glide it straight. So I'm just going to keep doing it till I get to the top, and then come back and show you how it is looking. Okay, so after stitching, so you are going to have it, so you see the way it is looking. What you are going to do, because you don't want to leave the inside like this, we are going to trim it as close as possible. So you trim it out so it is neat and clean, so you have a clean finish when looking at it from the outside, just the way I did in the first video. That's the trimming. So trim it very close like that. So just trim it to the end, and then you have a clean finish for that. Okay, so at the end of the day, so you see how this part is looking now. So you see it is looking neat, clean. So once you are done, you just use a very calm iron. You give it a good iron, so you see it. Once you iron it down, everything is just going to be perfect without any bulge. So once you don't pull, and then this part, you just finish it just the way we did in the first video, just as I showed you. Just put it in and then give it a top stitch. So this one, you are going to take it in like this also. You take it down to the back and then you stitch it down. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, I will appreciate if you hit on the like button, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. God bless you.